Hello, Bermuda. I am Neletha Butterfield, the Minister of the Environment, Telecommunications, and E-Commerce. After many months of consultation and negotiation, a special development order has been drafted to provide planning permission to develop a resort and residential complex at the Southlands property in Warwick. The special development order has recently been approved by the full cabinet. I have not signed the order as yet because I felt that it was very important that I bring this to you, the public, to explain what a special development order is. Bermuda, I invite you to stay tuned for the next 30 minutes while the Premier and my cabinet colleagues talk to you about the importance of this development to the tourism industry, the impact it will have on the South Road, and most importantly, the workforce for all Bermudians.
Development in Bermuda is managed and regulated by the 1992 Bermuda Development Plan, which sets out the rules and guidelines to be followed in controlling the use and development of all land in Bermuda. The development plan has a 10 to 15-year lifespan, and on the day it is published, it cannot possibly predict all the future needs of the island. The vast majority of planning applications are reviewed and acted upon by the Development Applications Board. However, the board must work under the provisions and restrictions set out in the Development Plan and the Development and Planning Act. Where the board is prevented from ruling on an application, the Act provides the Minister with the authority to give approval using a special development order.
SDOs are regarded by their critics as a way of getting around the planning process. But in fact, they are an important tool for the Minister to respond to strategic national issues and to the development needs of the day. The Southlands property is one of those developments that needs an SDO. Let's talk a few minutes about the development of the Southlands property that is proposed. Southlands is about 37 acres in total and is zoned under the development plan as open space, residential 1, and tourism. Almost 37% of the property is zoned for residential or tourism development. Overlaid on the open space zone are the conservation zones of agricultural land, green space, and woodland reserve. There's also a Section 34 agreement in place for the conservation zones. This is an agreement between the Minister and the property owner which restricts development and can only be amended with the agreement of the Minister and the property owner. Because the property has areas which are zoned as conservation zones, and there is a Section 34 agreement in place which can only be amended by the Minister, the Development Applications Board was not able to act upon the planning application that was submitted. As a result, an SDO had to be considered. Let me tell you that this has not been an easy process or decision for me. I have read all the objections. I have heard the voices of the environmentalists, and I share their love for Bermuda's open spaces. So let me tell you about the process that was followed to provide the planning permission for this project. In December 2006, the developers submitted a planning application to the Department of Planning. The application was advertised in the same way as any other application, which provided an opportunity for anyone interested to review the plans and to submit an objection. Technical officers and the Architects Advisory Panel provided technical feedback on the application, which led to the production of the draft SDO, which was published, providing another opportunity for objections. We then went through another round of consultation and negotiation with the developers to produce the final special development order. As the minister responsible for the environment, I feel just that, responsible for managing development and responsible for protecting the environment of Bermuda. But as a member of the Cabinet, I have another responsibility to balance the need for conservation with the need for development. I am pleased that the Premier and other Cabinet members will give you a bit more information on how this development will provide long-term benefits and opportunities to Bermuda and Bermudians. The SDO provides planning permission subject to a number of conditions for the development of a comprehensive resort and residential complex to include 269 guest suites, 42 residential units, restaurant, bars, a spa, and indoor public spaces.
The project will be developed in phases. The first phase involves the realignment of South Road. This will allow for the development of the resort south of the public highway as the second phase. Work will then progress on the northern part of the site, where the main resort complex will be located.
As I have said, the planning permission is subject to conditions, one of which is that the developer must submit assessments of the potential environmental impacts and measures to be taken to mitigate any adverse impacts on the several areas of concern. These include the habitats of animals, including the flight patterns of seabirds at the development site, the impact of construction traffic on the neighbors, and the arrangements to be made for the housing and transportation of employees brought into Bermuda during the construction of the facility. When we were discussing the development, I had concerns about the impact of storms on the shoreside units. However, as a result of our consultations, the developers have agreed to increase the height of the cliff on which the units will be built. This will provide additional security and safety to those units. Within 3 months of the SDO being approved, the developers must submit a comprehensive landscape and woodland management plan, along with a timetable for implementation. Within 6 months, the developer must enter into a new Section 34 agreement with the minister to restrict further development on select woodland and agricultural land. And as part of the foreshore protection scheme, the developers must work with the Department of Conservation Services to install artificial long-tailed nests on the cliffs at the site.